Hello, I'm Kelly Wang with the STEAM 3D Maker Lab. In this session, I will be presenting how to use TikTok and social media in the classroom. So a brief introduction first. I'm Kelly Wang at the bottom left corner, and I am a research assistant at Dr. Jeanette Hughes' STEAM 3D Maker Lab at Ontario Tech University, located in Oshawa, Ontario, Canada. In this session, we will first go over some facts about TikTok and then see how we can use TikTok as a learning resource, and also TikTok and Instagram tools as learning resources, how to use Instagram for photo essays, and also other methods of using social media in the classroom. After this video, I'll then give you time to explore these platforms on your own. So let's begin by looking at some facts about TikTok. The platform was launched in September 2016 in China and internationally launched a year later. It has since accumulated 1.2 billion global monthly active users, and 3.2 million of them are in Canada. And it is very popular among youth, with 62% of users in the US being between the ages of 10 to 29. So what are some ways that we can use TikTok videos as learning resources? Because there are so many out there, and one of the ones that youth can use as a learning resource is TikTok's activism category. Now, there are lots of videos on TikTok deemed as activism. However, these are just some of the common ones that we have seen. So these include, for example, Black Lives Matter, Indigenous culture, LGBTQ, body positivity, disability, Indigenous issues, climate change, racism, mental health, and anti-Asian hate. And we will look over some examples as well. So here's an example of one of the ways of using TikTok videos, specifically activism videos, as a learning resource. This is a video by a creator named Tegan, and in this 3-minute video, she explains what Orientalism is and shares some additional resources. And she is known as a creator who shares information on racism, sexism, and classism. So let's take a look at her video.
What is Orientalism for the leftist who has heard the term or maybe has not heard the term and doesn't really know what it is? So initially, the term was used to describe the Western academic study of Eastern cultures, but this changed in 1978 when Palestinian author Edward Said released his book Orientalism. See, Said defined Orientalism as the contemptuous views and depictions of the East by the West. And the East, or the Orient, here is North Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. See, historically and currently, Westerners tend to view the East or the Orient as essentially static and undeveloped. And in contrast, they view the West as developed and superior to the East. In the context of Western academia, this process of actively othering the Orient by viewing them as backwards, as savage, as static and underdeveloped, like I said, then allows these notions to be taught, studied, reproduced, all in service of imperialism. So to summarize, Western society is civilized, it's intellectual, it's developed, it's superior, and whatever's going on in the East, they need help. They're a mess. And this isn't just an academic thing as well. It is present in fiction, in the media, because, what better way to get an idea across to people than by having this dominant narrative present in the media? One way Orientalism manifests itself in the media, particularly modern media, is through techno-Orientalism. At first, you may think it's the opposite of Orientalism because techno-Orientalism seems to depict Asian countries as technologically advanced. While these portrayals are of technological advancement, they are also of these Asian societies being dystopic and intellectually primitive. Hence the trope of the Asian lady robot. So it's like, wow, look, they have all this really horrifyingly advanced technology, but they're subservient, they're static, they're unfeeling, they need our help still. Many people, myself included, believe that techno Orientalism arose from the fear that the East was becoming too advanced and that they were going to take over. Orientalism is dangerous and it breeds things like xenophobia and xenophobia. I urge every leftist, if you have not already, to please become familiar with this concept and reflect on how you maybe have internalized it. I'll put a link to Orientalism in the comments below. I can link a couple other articles and authors as well. But so there you have it, a 3-minute intro crash course on Orientalism.
And here are some of the comments from her video. A lot of people were thanking her for sharing, for teaching them something new, for bringing up an important topic, and is suggesting that they found the video very interesting and may do more with it, like they're going to share with their peers. So this is a great way of using TikTok as a learning resource to spark some interest within students and get them interested about learning something new. On TikTok, people can also pass along resources to one another to further educate others. So using Tegan's video as an example again, we can see here that some comments are sharing further information. However, some of the comments are arguably biased and pretty much none of them sources or credits what their information is from. They just state the facts and that's about it. Because of that, I'm sure that not every comment will always be correct. However, this is a way of sharing resources to engage with one another for your students to learn something more, and also a good time for them to recognize that not everything on the internet is true and accurate, and to teach them some ways of fact-checking on their own. TikTok also allows people to stand together, to have a bigger voice, and to take action. And a popular example of this is calls to sign petitions. So this is Brianna Dice. She's an Indigenous TikToker who showcases her artworks, but also talks about Indigenous culture and issues. And in this video, Brianna is calling on allies to sign a petition to support missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, the inquiry. And it's about a minute long.
Allies to Indigenous people, I'm calling for your help. You need to go to the House of Commons website and you need to look up this petition. You can find it just by Googling House of Commons and then E3785. This petition is calling for the government to actually do something about missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and two-spirited people. There have been 231 calls for justice. We have already laid out what exactly needs to be done, what needs to be fixed, and the government has to put this in place. So what you need to do is scroll down to the bottom and you can sign the petition. Make sure once you filled it out that you have checked your email and confirmed. This is the only way to actually make sure your signature is taken. If you are not Canadian, you won't be able to sign, but I need you to share this, please.
And here are some of the comments underneath the video. A lot of people are showing their support, saying they signed it, or if they're not able to help directly, they're willing to help indirectly. Like the first comment, who said that they are not Canadian, but commenting for the algorithm. Videos like these educate people and students on matters and bring them closer and together for a good cause. Also, the effect that Brianna used in her video is TikTok's green screen effect, where you can set an image as your background, and that's what she did with screenshots of the petition website. Now, TikTok also allows users to relate to one another, and this is another way that youth can learn from one another and also just feel like they're not alone. People can share their own experiences in the comments if they relate to the content, and the creator of the video and other people can reply to show their support. So for example, this is Amy Hoover. She is a Canadian body positivity activist. And in this video, she's expressing her thoughts on people who blame health issues on weight. It's a very short video, so let's take a quick look.
What an odd thing to say. What a peculiar thing to say.
Also, the technique she's using for this video involves taking a sound bit and recording an original video on top of it. So it's actually not her talking, but the video does have a lot to do with Amy's message. And in the comments for that video, we can see that people are relating to this video with their own experiences, specifically with doctors. So this is just one example of how people can feel connected through activism, gives them something to relate to. Here's another example of relatability. This is Stephen Amon, and he is a hilarious Canadian TikToker who makes very funny but informative videos on topics involving politics and LGBTQ. In this video, it is 3 minutes long. He talks about why it's important to discuss sex with youth that involve LGBTQ topics. So let's take a look.
If you are someone that believes that sexuality shouldn't be taught in schools, come closer. Let's chat about it. First of all, let's start talking about what sexuality is, because I don't think a lot of people really understand what it is. Yes, one definition of sexuality is someone that you are sexually attracted to. But this also involves biological, erotic, physical, emotional, social, and spiritual feelings and behaviors. It's not just about sex. So when queer people are saying that they want children to be included in the conversation of sexuality, they're not talking about sex. Although I believe that comprehensive sex education should also be taught to children that are undergoing puberty, I also believe that those before puberty should also at least understand different sexualities and people who exist in their everyday life. When you talk about sexuality in a broad spectrum, you don't talk about sex. You talk about relationships. You talk about people that your kid might meet. You talk about teachers that they might have, because queer people can be teachers. If you don't want your kid to know about sexuality or gender, all you're doing is blinding them to people who live around them. You're confusing your kid more. We don't want you to talk about how people have sex. We want you to talk about queer people like you talk about straight people. The movie Cinderella, Snow White, all of these Disney movies with princesses all exist and are made for children. And they all feature sexuality. That's right, folks. Straight is a sexuality. We want kids to know about different sexualities and genders so that kids don't make fun of it and make fun of other kids for having parents or family members or being queer themselves. Whatever your opinion is on queer people, they are going to be in the lives of your child. Even if you believe that everything in the queer community is just made up hooey, your child is going to meet a queer person. We're everywhere. Sorry about it, we're not going away. We have jobs, businesses, families, and your child is going to interact with us. Giving your child the information they need to just know of our existence isn't going to harm them. It's not forcing them to grow up. They didn't grow up when they watched Cinderella. I bet you they still play dress up. They still have tantrums. They still want to go play with their friends. You just might not confuse them when they go to someone's house and they have a different family than you. This isn't about sexual education. That's a different conversation for another day. We just want to be discussed like we're people. Because we are. Sorry.
So videos like these not only get the conversations going, it also allows people to relate to one another and feel part of a community that way. And this is also a place where learning can happen. So some ways to incorporate using TikTok as a learning resource into the classroom. And we'll start with primary. I've divided this into 3 sections. So primary is between kindergarten to grade 3, intermediate from grade 4 to 8, and then senior from grade 9 to 12. One of the things that you will notice is that a lot of these tools that I will feature later on will be too young for the primary children. However, this could be a good way to introduce them to media literacy if there are some child-friendly TikTok videos on activism that will be out on the platform. The intermediate students can definitely explore it a bit more. It's also a great introduction to media literacy for them, and they can discover some topics that they're interested in and start creating content, and they can do so anonymously to protect their privacy. TikTok has a built-in voice changer that you can use to protect their voice, and you can also film videos that don't involve their face or don't involve any part of their body whatsoever. For the senior students, it's also a great way for them to discover topics that they're interested in and also practice video filming and editing. You can do a class account. It can be for an end of the year memory account or a class project account. And for those who want to go off to university or college and work in media someday, it can be a great portfolio item for them as well. Moving on to the next section, which is TikTok and Instagram Reels as multimedia tools and how to use these in the classroom. One thing that you will notice about Instagram and TikTok in terms of their video editing tools are that they're very, very similar. You can take photos and videos and edit them and add sound and add effects and stickers and text. You can slow it down, speed it up, reverse it. There are so many different functions within both of these platforms. They're quite similar and they're both great editing tools that students can definitely play around with. Here, I've included 2 full-length videos on how to make TikTok videos and Instagram Reels as a resource for you and your students. For now, we will skip them. So some ways to incorporate TikTok and Instagram Reels into the classroom. Primary students might be too young and the tools might be too technical for them. However, the intermediate students might enjoy filming and editing some videos on them. They can make a skit for drama class, for instance, or they can make a commercial for their media literacy class. They can do a speech and use that to film and edit. For the seniors, it's a great introduction to professional filming and editing software, just because there are a lot of functions in these free softwares that they can use, that they can become familiar with, so that once they do use true professional filming and editing software, they're already familiar with some of these tools. They can keep a, for example, video diary or progress tracker if they're working on a big assignment. And they can also do an assignment where they compare TikTok and Instagram's filming and editing tools just because they are so similar and kind of see the pros and cons of each. Next up is Instagram for photo essays. Now, Instagram is a very popular global platform that is known for video and photo sharing. So it's a great visual platform for youth to kind of play on and be a bit more creative and expressive. And they can have a lot of fun with these photo essays. These are just 6 of many, many ones that they can do. They can do a day in the life, so a routine or a blog. They can do a reflection on something they've experienced. They can do a behind the scenes if they're working on a big project, for instance. They can attend a local event, kind of pretend to be a journalist and write a news article after. They can write an autobiography or a biography. And they can also do a fictional story. And for the fictional story, they can draw a character or draw a scene that goes along with it, or use graphic design and design a character or a scene. So there's a lot of intersectionalities when it comes to photo essays on Instagram. In terms of incorporating this idea into curriculum, again, it might be too young for the primary students to give this a try. However, they can use this technique to practice typing out some short essays just to become familiar with the keyboard. For the intermediate students, it can be a great introduction to photography and photo editing. Both of those softwares and functions are available within Instagram for free. It can be an end of the year class project where students can complete a fun activity or do an assignment and then have that posted into the class account, which can be privatized and only allow parents to see. And also, it's just a great way to practice essay writing and digital storytelling for all students, including seniors. Some suitable classes for this could be media and English, just because it does involve quite a bit of writing, but also photography. If they're going to an event or interviewing someone, or they see something interesting and they want to write about it, they can take a picture, and that's a great way to incorporate some visuals into this idea. And graphic design as well, if they're doing a fictional story, for instance, or just playing around with digital art. And it can also be an end of the year class project for the seniors as well. And there are lots of other methods on how to use social media into the classroom. And here are just 4 of many. You can use a Pinterest board as a classroom Pinterest board. The students can pin DIY classroom decoration ideas or party ideas. They can have a lot of fun with that. Teachers can pin worksheet ideas, curriculum ideas. If your students love Twitter, you can use that platform as a class message board. You can also ask your students to create blogs on a blogging site. There are lots of free ones available, and that's a great way for them to incorporate a lot of different things all in one place: photos, videos, writing, anything else that they can think of, really. And you can also use Facebook group for resource sharing. Now, I remember in post-secondary, one of my professors did this, and it was a great way to feel a bit more relaxed in the classroom, just because the resources that were shared on a platform that felt a bit more casual. It didn't come from a university email where we felt like it was mandatory for us to read. It was a lot more relaxed that way. And now it is your turn to create something new and something fun. So I will now turn it over to our activity, and hopefully you will enjoy it and create something very new and exciting, and kind of play around with the platform of TikTok and see how you can incorporate it into your classroom. Thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at kelly.wong@ontariotechu.net. My email is on the screen, and please follow the STEAM 3D Maker Lab on social media and check out our website as well. Thank you so much.